Hi, I'm Ben Brydon. I'm a saxophone player and composer from Dumfries in Scotland, and I've spent the last 15 years in New York City playing music, recording music, composing, collaborating with many artists there. It was easy for me to get excited about this project because I've basically spent the last 15 years travelling back and forth between Scotland and New York City. What the music I write is influenced by that back and forth journey. You know, I'm a New York-based jazz musician, but my Scottish heritage comes through in many ways. From the obvious things like the bands I listened to, Travis, Franz Ferdinand when I was a teenager, to the things you don't even realise are influences like Jimmy Shand and Ceilidh bands, and all those things kind of intermingle. So the idea of working on something that kind of marries those two sides of the ocean that I've spent a lot of time traversing, and all those influences it was very easy to get excited about and be creative with. So like the Sandstone, the music is built upon this solid foundation of form, structure, angular rhythms with kind of endearing melodies on top. So kind of taking the idea of this solid, angular, rough block and finding within it these structures, these harmonies, these melodies that are much more engaging, much more presentable perhaps. This was a great chance to work with a good friend, a long-time collaborator, Rowan Kamani. Rowan, of course, being a percussionist and having lots of experience in many different genres, he's kind of bringing that percussive foundation that is at the heart of any stone carving effort. You know, repetitive, circular, percussive sounds, and the way I compose is very melodic. So it was a good marriage of different approaches. At the same time, Rowan also writes some beautiful melodies as well. So lots of ideas on both sides of how to marry angularity and rhythm and solid structural form with much more kind of artistic and engaging melodic and harmonic ideas. So the music is coming from a very physical place, interpreting these physical structures and the forms within. So the physical manifestation of this project had to be vinyl, something you can hold in your hands, you can see the artwork. Although you can't necessarily hear it, you can feel it under your fingers in front of you. So it was very important that we have a physical aspect that reflected the very physical structures that these stone carvers created.
It's a great town of Sandstone, Dumfries. Have you been in the Sandstone tour, or have you had a wee look round all the Sandstone heads and so on in Dumfries?
You took me around yesterday and we saw
Did you see the pipe and peg?
The pipe, did I see the pipe and peg?
You seen the
No,
pipe
I
and
haven't
peg?
seen the pipe and
You have
peg
to
yet,
go
but I
and see.
saw the sunken quarry garden, which is
It's the
beautiful.
oldest bit of sandstone in Dumfries, a sandstone carving, a medieval carving from one of the old medieval buildings, 15th century I think, but it's up in a guttering up above the chip shop in Queensbury Street.
Okay.
You have to really look for it, but it's
Okay.
probably the oldest bit of carved sandstone in the whole town.
Oh, that's great. What's
Yeah.
the image?
A piping peg.
What's
Peg
a
with a-
peg?
Pig.
Peg.
Peg.
Oh, person.
No, a pig.
A peg.
A pig. You know, a pig
Like
that,
a lady named
that
Peg.
finds truffles. A pig.
A peg!
A pig with a set of bagpipes.
A pig! The, the correct creature. Oh.
Anyway, that's the pipe and pig story.
Okay, well, I think that needs a poem. I know we need a piping pig poem.
Yeah, pig.
Piping pig poem is a tongue twister.
No, it's a great connection though between the two countries, isn't it?
Yeah, it is
And,
great, and
yeah.
we're continuing it. Yes.
Yeah, continue it, yeah.
Yeah, it is great.
My name's Hugh McMillan. I'm going to read some poems from this brilliant Sandstone Steps project. The first one's the first poem I wrote for it, actually called Ballast. And it was inspired really by these piles of stones that are found in cities or ports all over the world, really. Ballast from boats which have been unloaded, and speak of all the continents and countries and interesting places they came from. So ballast. A land of stone, Scotland, Even the fancy cathedrals turned to rubble, shells for the wind to gape through. I've a stone in my pocket, black and smooth as an egg. It spoke to me where rivers split, when day once turned to night and all drained away. We carry stones and they carry us, our histories. In ports long gone, slabs of ballast set still licked by sea. Santiago granite, Otago basalt, limestone from the Persian Gulf, washed here from all the world, our cairns, our story hoards. And this is to do more generally with emigrants. I know many masons went over from Scotland to work on the sandstone projects in America. Part of the reason why folk left, of course, was to do with poverty. It's called Emigrant. Fallow wheat our farm was called, and we were harvested one by one. Esther, 2 months, 6 days. Henrietta, 8 years. Lovely Jessie, 12. Their mother at 39. These beautiful, sick hills. The minister says the righteous have a place at God's side. For the rest of us, there's America. And this third one's in Scots. Do heads. Obviously, the sandstone heads in Albany commemorate some very sort of important people, or important at the time anyway. But we also think, of course, of the people who made these heads, who were of less noble stock, the people who are forgotten. So that's what this one's about. It's called Heads. You wonder at nicht what cacophony of noise fills this How place. Dreary fu coronachs to the lang deed, the lang forgot, the lang dishonoured. What yints seem braw and blashy new a museum to a noble past? Which heeds cry the loudest? No your presidents or burghers, the folk wha ne'er had their minute in the sun, the makers, the temple builders. And lastly, this one about Waterfoot, if we can find it. Waterfoot's a place near Annan where many emigrants left to go to America. Waterfoot, the ribs of the old jetty and the throat of the Solway, long and blue between Seafield and Bowness. The last view for many as the Firth gave way to wide waters, gave way to the world. I'm thinking how hard it is to be a moment away from love, never mind a lifetime. People did it, wrote letters on the whims of the waves, sent cards and packets opened under dull or lurid skies. Remembered, I suppose, a particular smile or sky or laugh and pinned it on a sleeve, traced it with a finger in the minutes before dawn.
Hi, I'm Desiree Alvarez, and I'm from New York City, and I'm visiting Gracefield Arts Center here in beautiful Dumfries, in the very lush and gorgeously springy southwest of Scotland on a very sunny day, surrounded by magnificent gardens and flowers and sandstone. And I'm going to read a few poems from The Stone Carver's Heart. I wrote a crown of sonnets about the exchange of stone from the quarry in this region to New York City and Albany. And it's I'll read a few of the sonnets. I was thinking about these sonnets as a call and response between voices of the past and voices of today. Rough like the tree I was become, maker of green men on brownstone staircases of New York City. In a suitcase I brought my tools, carved my sweetheart's face on the red stair, heart beating in Albany. Wilderness of twists and turns. We made a forest of stone, and the city grew around it. We tore out the countryside with industry, metal and rock from inside earth, rising above it in service to smoke, noise, speed. Let out the song trapped. Let out the song trapped inside stone. Red dust music. Take my hand as we reach the top of the stairs and look down in terror. The balcony is low, but I need to see. How many things can the mind hold? Who is still crossing? Will we not let them in? The water is full of people in boats. The desert is veined with the homeless. Abandoned houses in Albany for refuge. As my own people arrived seeking asylum, as the stonemasons journeyed and stayed, what if we could love so kindly? What if we could love so kindly on the Capitol's steps, looking up, thinking of my great-grandfathers, carvers all. One carved coffins in Puerto Rico before crossing to Scottsdale, Arizona. One arrived from Europe to carve altars in New York's churches. How to match hand with handiwork. Anonymity, a mystery as hard as stone. Carving my woodblock is as close as I can be to knowing them. Fingers holding more than blood, a new world and an old world, understood on a scaffolding of ecstasy and horror. On a scaffolding of ecstasy and horror, once I climbed each stone to reach Machu Picchu, steep drops at every turn, Inca stairs cut by ancient hands, haunted by centuries of feet walking, stalking and stalked by the jungle I want to be. Each step is an orchid. I carried my mom on my back, her ashes feather light as the hummingbird around the bend. There are steps inside me, the fern uncurls to greet.